Good afternoon. My name is Musa Willie. I'm here to present my final project proposal for my contemporary human services class. This is the cover page of the project titled Fighting Domestic Violence in New York. The class is the contemporary human services class, Wilmington University. Of course, my name, Meg 7, did a presentation submitted to Dr. Sonia Murray. Um, the next page of the proposal focus on the title of the proposal, which is Fighting Domestic Violence in New York. The New York is the location of the project. The duration is 6 months. The background looks at the number of cases of the background gives some statistical look of domestic violence cases in New York, and also it looks at the concern that has been expressed by stakeholders in New York. So in the background, you know that CNN has reported that since the outbreak of the COVID-19 between March 16th to April 5th, over 2,345 survivors have used the hotline, either the text, the call, or the send messages. And the voices of domestic violence victims are usually not loud. Either they are placed on a duress not to say anything, and some of them are so victimized to the extent where they are comfortable with their victimization. They don't want to tell anyone. And some of them don't want to break their family, so they choose to live under such an inhumane condition. We'll look at some statistics that support our background. According to the New York Office of Prevention of Domestic Violence, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men have experienced severe form of intimate partner violence. 29 million women have experienced physical abuse. And domestic violence is not only through physical abuse, it also comes by the way of emotional abuse. 19% of domestic violence involve weapon. That's scary. And that in itself tells you that people are undergoing torture, people have been killed, and guns is one of the instruments that they use to suppress their victims. So these statistics inform us that there's a need for intervention. So we look at the intervention strategy. So with this, because of the alarming numbers of domestic violence cases in New York, we chose New York, and our intervention is in the form of a project that would train and deploy 50 domestic violence task force. These task force members will work with state authority, private institution, and their client to provide education and awareness to victims of domestic violence and also people who live in the city. The project goal is to minimize the risks of domestic abuse and to create a space for victims to safely report and publish their victimization. There's a difference between reporting your victimization and publishing your victimization. So most of the time, domestic violence victims will report their story, and sometimes you don't hear a lot about it. Those who are fortunate to get their story told, you will hear about them, and some of them you don't hear about it. So these task force members will help them to publish their story, help them write their story, and help find the appropriate media institutions to publish their story. So the population target, the target population will be women and children. Women and children most often find it difficult. They are easy to victimize. So that will be the target population. The format of the project will be done in 3 phases. The first phase will focus on recruiting individuals to be trained for tax force. The individuals selected will be participating in training. The training program will be advertised and participants will be selected through the following criteria. To be a tax force member, he or she must be a high school graduate. He or she must be a resident of New York. He or she must be willing to uphold the values of confidentiality. The training will last for 3 days and will be conducted face to face. Phase 2 of this project will look at domestic violence tax force training, setting up of an office, certificating, which is lessening the tax force members, and also deployment. Phase 3 will look at which is the final stage, we'll look at reporting, evaluation, and donor feedback. The structure of the project will be managed by the small team called project officers and staff. It will be headed by the director. And the director shall be responsible to oversee the day-to-day affairs of the project. So the director will oversee the day-to-day affairs of the project. Then the director shall be someone with the requisite qualification, and that qualification shall be a master degree in human services. The second project officer, the second staff would be called fee officer. He or she will be responsible to deploy task force member, distribute logistic, collect data, and also make sure that project staffs are doing their work. Of course, again, that person will have a educational qualification, which is bachelor's degree, to be qualified to work. Then we have the finance officer. He or she will be responsible to control all donor funding. And he or she shall be responsible to procure, to purchase, disburse, and conduct all bank transactions. Again, we attach qualification to that, and the qualification is the person must have a bachelor's degree in accounting. The next stage is the project evaluation. In order to ensure transparency of this project, evaluation will be conducted periodically, and will focus on interview, audits, assessment, and survey. The evaluation project will look at the impact of the project on the beneficiary and the financial and logistic deployment process. The fee officer will be responsible to complete all evaluation report. Then we look at what the needed equipment, logistics. We said, of course, we need to lease a building for 6 months, furniture, computer, stationery, electricity, water, hall rental for training, per diem for tax force member, stationery, publicity, cell phone. And then we came up with a sample for the project. So the next stage we'll look at now we're going to be looking at the budget. As you know, every project is implemented with a budget, because it is a budget that is where you spend the money from, and you have to itemize the logistics and attach price to them. All right, so this is the project budget. You look at the heading right there, project budget. The project budget, first we talk about the office space. So the office space rented, we say for 6 months and $800 a month. The total is there. Electricity, of course, we have to use electricity in the central office to run the computers and other appliances. So for 6 months, we attach $200 a month for electricity. Furniture, we have to purchase chairs, tables, and that is bulk price of 500. Computers to run the office. We have 2 computers. We have water supplied for 6 months. We put $50 a month. We have trash disposals, publicity, amount for publicity, of course. Periodically, we will have to run ad in the newspaper and electronic media. And that's for 6 months. We attach $100 a month. Cell phone for the taxable members. If 50 taxable member would need cell phone to text, collect data, and also keep in touch with their clients and also stakeholders within the community. Training hall, the hall for the training to conduct the 3 days training is $990 a day for 3 days. And the total is that. Salary for taxable members. Of course, we'll have to pay these taxable members who will be on a fee every day. And that is 50 taxable members for 6 months at the rate of $300 a month. Salary for project staff. We have 6 project staff, and we have 6 months and 3 staff, $1,000 each per month. We have bank charges, of course. And in bank transaction, there will always be charges. So we just put that there just in case. Evaluation, the project will have to be evaluated by independent agency. And those independent agencies will have to be paid. Audit, of course, again, we'll have to pay people to audit the project. And we put 20% contingency, which is normal in every project implementation, and the total came to 153,666. So that is the breakdown of the project. To summarize, domestic violence is one of the sources of death within the United States, and New York is of no exception. Is one of the epicenter of domestic violence. And so we are implementing a project titled Fighting Domestic Violence. And the strategy is to train 50 taxable members. And these 50 taxable members will work with stakeholders and private institutions to provide services to victims of domestic violence, specifically women and children. I want to say thank you. And this is my project proposal.